Hey everyone, back with you for week number 5 recap. Stick and puck. All right. Week 5 results, 5 alive. First up, Egg United at Doketown Danglers. The Egg United win, 107.7 to 96. MVP, Willie Nylander, 15.1 fantasy points. Bad goaltending all around, as you can see. Nylander, 4 goals in 4 games. Egg with Carlson finally seems to have found his footing, 11.1 fantasy points. And then Fleury totally devastates the Danglers with an awful performance, minus 10.2 fantasy points on the final day. Look at this down here. That is what lost it for the Danglers, it would seem. You look at this back and forth affair on the graph. Close one, but in the end, Fleury, not good like a McFlurry, bad like a Marc-Andre Fleury when he gets minus 10.2 points. On to the next slide. Slay all day at Team 1. Slay with the 103.9 to 87.8 victory. The match MVP, Sam Reinhart, 15.7 fantasy points. Slay gets off to a strong day 1 start, as you can see. Samsonov really sunk Team 1's ship with a negative 6.4 fantasy points. You look at Bobrovsky, covers up for Vanacek's bad performance with a big 11 fantasy points. Starts and wins all 4 games. That is very rare in today's NHL. As you could see, Team 1 just never could catch up. They were behind the whole match, and they never could close that gap. Next up, we have Going Up in Flames versus Staying Alive. Goof, Going Up in Flames, wins 117.1 to 96.7. Match MVP, maybe surprising, Wyatt Johnson. Massive goaltending swing in this matchup. A total difference of 25 points just in net. We saw Staying Alive searching desperately on the waiver wire for a goalie near the end of Week 5. We'll see if they can have a better solution in net this week. But last week it was a disaster. Going Up in Flames, points are very hot and cold between players. Staying Alive is consistent but not good enough. It was close, but then here on day 5, Going Up in Flames pulls away, as you can see that shown on the graph right here. Thunderous week from, as we said, MVP, 20th round pick, Wyatt Johnson. He's been streaky, and this week he was streaky in the good sense. All right, on to the next matchup. Lenny's Legends versus Skill Stick Fail. Lenny's Legends remains undefeated. It was a very close one, 102.9 to 101.1. MVP, Brad Marchand. As it says here, a nail-biter. This came down to the game, one game, Rangers and Blue Jackets. The Rangers really, I think, had to win this one for Lenny's Legends to win the matchup. They tied it up, the Rangers did, with 11 seconds left, and then they ended up winning in the shootout. Elvis, Skill Stick Fail's goalie, was in net. Kreider, one of Lenny's Legends' forwards, scored a goal on Elvis, and so that matchup really swung the week in Lenny's Legends' favor. It all really came down to that. Brad Marchand for Lenny's Legends is looking like a real steal at 161st overall pick in the draft, averaging 2.6 fantasy points. Once again, McDavid was the lowest points total. I believe this is for Lenny's Legends for the second week in a row. Maybe with a new coach, He'll start doing what we all expect McDavid to do. And Connor Bedard, who I believe, let's go back there. I believe he only had 2 games, but he did. 12.1 fantasy points in just 2 games. So they really needed him to play 3 games, or they needed Elvis and the Blue Jackets to win that game. A lot of things could have happened to change the outcome. Very close, but ends up, as you could see, Lenny's Legends. And I said at the very outset of this week that Skill Stick Fail had many more man games on the roster. And I said, even when I got off to this big start, I said at the end it's going to be close because he's got a lot of guys playing the last couple of days, whereas my team had few and Alex Tuck was injured and so on and so forth. So you can see that's exactly what happened. Skill Stick Fail narrowed the gap, actually went ahead for part of Sunday, but in the end that Rangers victory, that Kreider goal, really swung it in Lenny's Legends' favor, and they win the matchup. 5-0. Next up, Team Latenderini versus Los Mustachios. Leet with the 4th victory of the season, now 4-1, 109.5 to 97.4. Match MVP was Kyle Connor with 16.1 points. Another, it says, shocking win. Maybe ESPN, the auto-drafting strategy, maybe that is where we should have been. We'll see. 4 separate forwards, total 10-plus fantasy points. Connor, Kucherov, Robertson, and Pedersen. Leet, both 2-game Vegas Knights players lighted up. You know, you're going up against Leet. You hope, he didn't adjust the roster. You hope, those 2 players, they're not going to get him many points. But then what happens? Well, they get 13.4 fantasy points between them. Really disheartening for Los Mustachios. 4th round pick Mika Zibanejad continues his slow start. Will he turn it around? I don't know. But we'll see. He can only probably go up from here. It was a close one, but then we see on day 3, Team Latenderini really pulled away. You can see that on the graph. Neck and neck here, but then Leet jumps forward and pretty much keeps that same lead throughout the remainder of the matchup. All right. Big picture. Who's on first? He keeps putting that in the slides. I don't know exactly what that's supposed to mean, but here's the trophy race. We still have Staying Alive at the bottom. Skill Stick Fail has caught up to Team 1. Look at that. Father and son together. 2nd and 3rd. Next up is Slay All Day and the Danglers. Danglers came down, Slay came up. They look to be about tied. Then you've got Egg United with Los Mustachios. No, Going Up in Flames and Los Mustachios pretty much tied. We forgot about Team Latenderini. Where are they? I guess that's them right here. I don't know. The colors are hard to tell. What is Doketown? Maybe that's Doketown Danglers. This is Leet right here. Who knows? It looks like one of the teams is not represented here. This is Los Mustachios, this brown one here. And we know this is Lenny's Legends here up at the top. No doubt about that. But you can look at this for yourself and try to figure out where Leet is. Team 1's down here. There's like 3 blue colors. Latenderini. I think they're like together here at the end. That's why I'm being confused. It looks like Egg United and Leet are right here together. Very confusing graph. We really need to tweak this graph because it's causing all sorts of problems in people trying to decipher who is leading in the trophy race. Finally, week 6 marquee matchups. The harder the conflict, the greater the triumph. I can attest to that, as could George Washington. All right, marquee matchups. We've got 3 matchups here. Oh, sorry. We got 10 teams. 5 matchups. All right, who would be my marquee matchups? Well, we go to the top of the list here. Lenny's Legends at 5-0 and Team Latenderini at 4-1. That is the marquee matchup of the week. We also have father and son, Team 1 and Skillstick Phil facing off, 3-2 and 1-4. Then who would be our? Well, we have another family affair. Going Up in Flames versus Slay All Day. So another family rivalry match. So those would be my 3 marquee matchups of the week. Let's just look at the other 2. The Mustachios versus Egg United, a pair of 3-2 squads. And then we also have Staying Alive, looking for his first win against Doketown Danglers. The Danglers are heavy on the Pittsburgh content, and they have 4 games going in week number 5, so it'll be a tough matchup. But what did George Washington say? The harder the conflict, the greater the triumph. And so we've seen that Staying Alive has faced much adversity this week. We'll see how they do this week, if they can overcome those man games from the Pittsburgh Penguin players such as Crosby, Riley Smith, Gensel, and the defenseman, not Carlson, but the other power play defenseman, and I can't remember. Letang, that's his name. And we'll see if Staying Alive, our commissioner, will be able to finally, after 6 weeks, get his first victory of the year. And really in his whole lifetime. So, I think that, there says one more slide. See you next week. That's been week number 5. Recap. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and we'll see you next time.